So now we're going to have another panel, which is going to be awesome. It's going to be Genesis of NFTs. Are they here to stay? So we have a few panelists. We have Mende. Matthias is a founder of a project, Bonus. He's working with NFTs, and the main thing that he's building is a system to tokenize and create NFTs for creators, celebrities, brands, which is great exactly for this panel. Vesa is a digital art pioneer for 14 years. He's going to be joining us remotely. So he's going to be digitally joining us through the metaverse, which is good. We also have Amna, founding member of the Oxford Blockchain Foundation, graduate level lecturer with teaching experience in London and Dubai, and financial economist turned blockchain expert. And we also have Asif Bashir. He's the co-founder of the Film Token, a veteran of Web 1, Web 2 with over 20 years experience in IT, which is beautiful. And Vesa is here as well. Will it be up there on the screen?
Yeah, he's going to be up there.
Okay. Hello, Vesa. Welcome. He's going to be coming. There we are. Beautiful. So welcome to the panel, everyone. And we all have mics. So we'll start off Genesis of NFTs. It's here to stay. Is it here to stay? So in your opinion, was NFTs this big hype that happened the last 2 years? We've had a crazy, like, $16 billion industry came out of nowhere. In your opinion, was this all just hype? Was it a speculative bubble? Was it a FOMO and a fad? Or are NFTs going to be here for the long term? Mende, if you want to start?
Sure. Great question. So, to answer it, surely they will stay for long, but they will develop, evolve, and advance. Because we just know a lot of primitive use cases is the one which made it also very popular, like the Beeple says self of this NFT for $69 million. And the first sale was actually done in 2014. It was some graphic called Quantum. But the space evolved, and I think for the long term they will definitely stay and evolve a lot. And it's already happening too.
Right, so I think that there's a lot of potential for NFTs. Last year, in 2021, we saw 25 billion in sales in NFTs alone. And this year, if we just... Sorry, is there something wrong? Yeah. So if we just look at May 2022, we saw 3.47 billion in sales in just NFTs. So this is despite the crypto market being very down. We're facing a crypto winter. But in spite of that, 3.47 billion in May only. And this is according to DApp Radar, which is a very authentic source on blockchain and DeFi. Now, there is a lot of potential also in the sports industry. Deloitte published a report that this year, in sports alone, we are going to have 2 billion in sales in NFTs, and around 5 million new people, sports fans, are going to engage in NFTs and enter the market. So I think there's a lot of potential there.
Beautiful.
Thank you. And just to add to that, literally recently, Binance announced Cristiano Ronaldo as an ambassador for NFTs, and the fact that they're going to be doing Cristiano Ronaldo NFTs. Now we know he's a global superstar in the world of football, but just as an icon. So it just shows the potential of what NFTs can be. I think to date what we've seen is very few projects that I would personally call quality. It's quite a controversial statement there, because a lot of it has been based around hype and communities, and we've seen a few very good examples of what people have done. Now, there's a number of areas that haven't been touched yet. The project we're working on is all about the world of film. And so when I look at NFTs, I see them at the moment, majority of NFTs are collectibles. It's a bit like when I grew up, I used to have football collectible cards every World Cup. Like the World Cup's happening later this year, Panini will do a sticker book and you collect the stickers. And I remember growing up that, if you had a shiny one and you had two same shiny ones, you could go into school and say, I've got a spare shiny one. And people would say, I'll give you 5. No, I'll give you 6. NFTs. That was, NFTs because they were collectibles. Now when we, we've in the current age of Web3, You know, you've got a lot of artists that are entering this space. But, you know, if you've got Banksy, for example, a really famous artist, nobody knows who he really is, but a Banksy will sell for millions. If he launches an NFT campaign, people will buy them because they know over time the intrinsic value will increase. So I think there's different aspects of NFTs, but the one area that hasn't really fully been explored is utility. And at the moment, I would say it's very much you're part of a unique club, and that's what they're being used as. Like, you know, I've got a Bored Ape. I'm part of the Bored Apes Club. What else does that give you? Well, I get to do yacht parties and maybe something else, but no one can really answer. And I remember speaking to somebody who had a Bored Ape, and I said, "Oh wow!" And he got in really early. And I said, "So what do you get out of it?" He goes, "Well, it's gone up in value. And I made a lot of money." And I said, "But what else?" He goes, I don't know. But he was happy because, you know, he bought it for a few $100s and it's over $100,000, right? So I think the potential is there. I think NFTs, we're going to see a huge shape shift in terms of how people are using those to get that longevity coming in.
Beautiful. Is Vesa able to... Okay. Mendy, you want to...
Vesa, are you with us?
No, it's not working.
We can't hear you.
Okay. Would you like me to join? I lost your audio there for a while, so I don't know if there's a question. Can you hear me?
So Vesa, do you believe NFTs were a fad, a big hype and like a huge bubble, or do you think they'll be here to stay? What's your opinions on this? And you're an NFT artist, so...
Yeah, thanks for the question. It's a great question. I'm going to have to take us back a little bit of time, which is to the dawn of computers, really, which is that ever since we started getting computers and anyone started using them, we started having creativity in between the machines are really great at copying things. And because we've sort of intuitively now think before the time of NFTs, that everything that computers do is that they share files very well and they copy files very well. It takes a bit of a flip of about 5 decades to start to feel like that there's a new technology that makes it possible that a digital file can be as rare as a Mona Lisa in terms of its ownership. That much like Mona Lisa, everyone can see the painting and go to the museum and see a variety of different kinds of images of it online. There's a way to verify, for example, straight from the Louvre, if they ever published the original digital version of the Mona Lisa, that through the blockchain you can track who actually has the ownership rights of that image. So this is absolutely massive because most of our lives are online. And now, especially after COVID, we spend increasingly our virtual conferences and so forth. And whatever it is, we have 1 billion different digital products. And we finally have a way on how to authenticate them and sell them, anything from audiobooks to, you know, drum beats to whatever it is. It's not only artworks. Artworks are great as a first sort of use case for it, but there's so many different applications. But most importantly, the 2-dimensional websites are collapsing into a 3-dimensional space. And the metaverse is here with us. So that is a massive thing that is going to shift a lot of different things that are digital personae are going to be living on the online even more than they do now. I mean, people are obsessed with their Instagrams. They're obsessed with the different kinds of representations they already put online. And many people kind of live for the online world more than they do for the real life already. So of course now the better and better that the technology becomes, the more we're going to care about what we can show as our ownership and different kinds of identity things online. And NFTs are the way to verify the majority of that stuff. So I would say it's absolutely here to stay. And one of the things that is important to understand that due to the innovation of blockchain and sort of Bitcoin being something that is a bank in your back pocket, the 3.5 billion people in the world without access to a bank account now can skip a lot of the hindrances of the Industrial Revolution and join directly the creative one and the digital one. So what that means ultimately for new economies and things like that is anyone who talks about that is going to sound a little bananas of what it might be like in 10 to 20 years because of these innovations. So this is what it's really about and why I personally believe that it's here to stay, even though the first flush of it, we've seen some questionable things.
Okay, beautiful, nice answers. So how long for you did it take to go from not knowing anything about NFTs to being able to buy NFTs, to understand the technology? How long did it take each of you to get to that point?
You know, it's quite interesting because my background is 20 plus years in the world of IT.
Sorry, I didn't hear the question.
How long did it take you from not understanding anything about NFTs to being able to understand the technology, buy NFTs, and hold NFTs?
Yeah, so my background is 20 plus years in IT, and the last 10 years I've been spending in the world of publishing, television, and now film. And when NFTs, blockchain and technology, I understood. It was pretty much taught to us 20 plus years ago about what the fundamental principles were, and we were always told, don't ever do that, because whenever you build a system, you've got to make sure you can update and delete things, right? Because a system without that's not a system. So the fundamental principles I totally understood. And then the whole NFT mania kicked off, and I struggled with it, because I said, right mouse click, save as, I've got it on my desktop, I've got it on my phone. Right? What am I getting that, you know, you're spending $100,000 for yours, I've got mine free. It's the same thing. So for me, it was a big cultural challenge to understand why there was so much interest in them. And a lot of it was just hype, because I couldn't really see the real utility and value in why I would want to spend so much on it. I get that, it's digital art. You know, if it's a Mona Lisa, it's a Mona Lisa, right? It's an original. But with some of these, there were 10,000 pieces. And when you're doing a 10,000 drop, it's like, well, it's unique, but there's another 999,000, right? It's like, well, there's a lot here. And then when I got my conceptual head around working in the world of film, thinking, actually, we can use the NFTs, but I think there's a lot of things missing, is when I started looking at it and thinking, okay, yep, I get what they are. And so I then delved into it and said, all right, yeah, it's relatively easy, but from someone who's got an IT background. And I had people coming to me saying, how do I buy an NFT? You know, what's an NFT and how do I get one? Because they're the big thing. And I think that's the big challenge, because we use a lot of terminology that it's not layman speak, right? You know, we started using all these big acronyms. You know, and I won't go into those right now, but I think it's that the path to buying an NFT could be a lot smoother, it could be a lot easier. And that, I think, is the biggest barrier at the moment.
Yes. So I think NFTs, it was okay for me. It was not that difficult. And I'm sure, you know, today also we had so many amazing explanations of what NFTs were. So basically, suppose all of you have a Bitcoin, right? And you give it to the person next to you, and they give you their Bitcoin. That would essentially mean that you still have a Bitcoin. It doesn't matter whether you have your person sitting next to you or whatever, but if you all have an NFT and you give it to the next person, and they give you their NFT, that means that you both have a different token. It's non-fungible, which means it can never be replaced. It's like a fingerprint, a digital fingerprint, which is one of a kind. And in order to add value, some terms which I thought would be beneficial and were beneficial while I was learning of NFTs were minting. So you may have heard minting an NFT. That means that you take your artwork or any video or whatever, and then you publish it on the blockchain. You pay a little fee called a gas fee from your crypto wallet. First you buy cryptocurrency in your wallet, and then you mint it, means you put it on the blockchain. Now we've heard from all the amazing speakers we've had today that a blockchain cannot be, nothing on the blockchain can be destroyed, it's immutable, right? But we have this concept of burning tokens. So you have your artwork as an NFT on the blockchain, and you want to remove it, but it cannot be removed, so you burn it, which means you don't really, put it on fire or anything, but you send it to an inaccessible wallet, and you remove it from circulation. So that means burning, a token or an NFT, and these are just things which I thought helped me on my journey of understanding and would add value here as well.
My journey, I would say it started already in 2006, or even before, maybe 2004. I played a game called Diablo 2, and this is a multiplayer, role-player game online. And in this game you have different kind of items and weapons, like magic rings, swords and stuff. And I used to sell those items on eBay and get paid by PayPal. And I was selling them sometimes for some serious money that my parents even thought how for a few months before the inflation kicked in, they were thinking, what is the kid doing non-stop on the computer? And then when the inflation came in, it meant that some people managed to copy items. So that's why the inflation came in. And then obviously when I've seen NFTs the first time in this age with CryptoKitties, for example, and I understood back then that the games will also have their play items. And I feel in gaming, NFTs will be totally amazing because they just make total sense because of their utility. And yeah, that's also one of the reasons why I decided to do bonus, because I saw a lot of NFTs with funny use cases, and I thought that token sets are more advanced to provide those utilities in order to make sense, because things which are only based on hype are not healthy for long-term sustainability.
Nice. Vesa? The question was from seeing NFTs and how long did it take you to understand the technology, be able to buy it, and actually use NFTs? Or for your case, create them? Are you able to hear?
I'm so sorry. If the question was for me, it was cut up, most of it. I couldn't really hear it.
How long did it take you to understand NFTs, use them, and create them?
Sorry.
If you mute your mic to be able to hear me, and then unmute when, yeah. So how long did it take you to use NFTs, understand the technology, and then for your case to be creating them?
Okay. Well, I'm somewhat of an anomaly, I suppose, because I started making digital art or this mixed media stuff already back in 2008. So I was quite familiar with dealing with a variety of different kinds of files and uploading them and doing all kinds of stuff with them. But when I got in to crypto art and NFTs in 2017, NFTs weren't yet really that much of a thing. It really started coming online a little bit in 2018 and taking even more form in 2019. So back in the day, I mean, it was Super Rare got in touch with me and asked that if I wanted to mint something with them, and it was a marketplace where I think the top sales were something like $70, and it was very sort of grassroots and very interesting, and all the platforms were really helpful. They wanted for the artists to come in and start to experiment, so they were even hands-on, sort of instructing people on how to do it. So that was some of the very early cool days of us doing it together and trying to figure out how to do it in a good kind of way. I just happened to have these very high resolution files, and that were very high effort. They demanded studios and sometimes whole film crews, and some projects took 2 years to make. So some of the early economics of NFTs weren't really that favorable. We weren't kind of compatible in a way. And there was a lot of different interesting things that we tried to do, but the collector base just simply wasn't there to begin with. So we had to just sort of navigate and find our way and troubleshoot together, which was really, really cool. And now, of course, minting NFTs is much, much easier. You go almost on any of these platforms and you look at the minting procedure. Not only is it quite simple, but you'll have a ton of YouTube videos that take you step by step on how to do it. One of the most counterintuitive things that people don't yet kind of realize is that when you start doing any of this NFT stuff, whether it's joining MetaMask or how to get a Coinbase account or whatever it is, now you have a plethora of YouTube videos on how that tell you how to do it. So it's quite a lot more convenient than it was in the early days when there weren't any.
Beautiful. And so for me, if you could mute your sound again. I'm a YouTuber, so crypto related every day, making videos. I was getting a lot of information from my audience, always asking me for the last 2 years about NFTs. And I kind of saw it as a supply demand, too much supply, not enough demand, and no finite supply. It was like 10,000 of the same image, slightly differentiated. So I kind of avoided it. But then I'm the founder of a project, MetaDecrypt, which is a play-to-earn game, and that has NFTs incorporated. So when my team started to build this kind of technology, and we're one of the kind of first play-to-earn game, or one of the group of play-to-earn games that are incorporating it, which is exactly what Mende was talking. I also played Diablo 2. So before you played games, you didn't own anything you had in the game. You owned it in the game, but you didn't actually own the characters, the weapons, the gold, and you'd literally have to go on eBay, sell your item on eBay, and then drop the item on the ground in the game and hope that the person that sent you the money would take the weapon, and you could kind of like get around that by like kind of some like escrow service using eBay. But now with NFTs, you can actually own this technology. You can own the character in the game, the weapons, your gold. So it took me a while, to actually 2 years to really get into it. Only after we started developing it did I really see like the power of this kind of technology. So that's going to lead on next. So this NFTs is now revolutionizing gaming, which is like $3 billion people a year playing games, $300 billion a year industry, and now NFTs is revolutionizing that. So in what ways are you seeing in the future NFTs? What industries, what ways are they going to revolutionize the world that maybe the rest of us don't yet know, that maybe you have a kind of idea of where it will go in the future? Going from this artwork, even going from games, what can be the future of NFTs?
I would love to see NFTs which house complete metaverse experiences. Like, for example, where the NFT is like a room or a scenario. Obviously, we are technologically not that far yet, but I believe 1 year or 5 years maximum we will be fully in. That all the people suddenly in the room can be in the same place of what I own as an NFT. You know, and then there are suddenly dragons flying around. And then we immediately have a gameplay mode where we just take a remote out and put some weapons, bazookas on the floor like Morpheus does to Neo in the Matrix. I feel this whole experiences in NFTs, which only few people can own. I think this could be one of the most incredible things.
Beautiful.
So for me, apart from gaming and sports, which we already talked about, I think there's a huge potential in NFT for real estate and land, whether it's in the metaverse or whether it's online. Actually, a few years ago, which is pretty early in the NFT space, there was a company registered with DIFC in Dubai, and they would sell actual land in Dubai as NFTs. So this is already happening, and it's a huge user case. Another thing which I feel has immense potential is, of course, NFTs for utility. So whether it's collectibles, you know, the Grammys are coming up, the 64 Grammys. So they have launched a group of NFTs with the Tezos blockchain, which is more environmentally friendly. And this will give the holder some benefits like going to VIP parties and stuff like that, which, and last, I think, which I feel should be more into it, is the NFTs for good. United Nations just in December launched for their 75th anniversary the largest NFT collection by UNICEF and the UN as a whole, 1,000 NFTs called the Patchwork Kingdoms, which are made by real data from the UNICEF's Giga blockchain project. And the money and proceeds from that are going to fund education for underprivileged children. So there is immense good there.
Beautiful.
There's a couple of projects that I'm involved in. One of them is really about helping underprivileged children to get an opportunity in life with basic education, ability to read and write and count and everything. But the other project that I'm working on, it's a film token, and it's about a film NFT marketplace. It's a whole ecosystem. So as a film producer, if you need to raise funds, you can come onto the platform. There's a DAO, first funds in. And on that, we've got a range of projects. And really, I think it kind of highlights what NFTs could do. One of them is all about conservation. So it's a not-for-profit making film. It's about poaching. So we're working with a team in Africa who have developed AI-enabled drone technology with night vision, and they go out hunting the poachers. So to prevent another elephant or rhino kind of, being killed. And then, so your NFT could also then support the elephant sanctuary or the rhino sanctuary. Then on the other end, what Mende said was really about immersive experiences. So a big problem with the world of film is it's an exclusive club. And so one of the things that we're developing is NFTs that could get you an immersive experience in a film. So you buy an NFT, you could end up being an extra with a big Hollywood A-lister and you're in a scene. Or you could actually say, hey, actually, I'm a small brand, I want to look at product placement. So your product is now in a Hollywood film. And taking that right through into the metaverse as well. So we've got some really fun ideas in terms of what we want to do with the whole metaverse. I mean, you almost gave it away there with the whole dragons and everything. But really, it's, you could recreate a whole film set in the metaverse and connect with the characters and do all sorts. So we're building that whole ecosystem because we see film is one of those industries that, the consumers are so far detached from the industry itself. We go watch to the theater, we buy, the merchandise. But can you actually visit a film set? Can you be part of it? Unless you're part of the ecosystem, you can't. But with non-fungible tokens, what we can do is deliver utility and those real immersive experiences. Like, you look like the type of guy that likes horror movies. What if tomorrow I could put you into a horror movie? Blood and guts everywhere, people dying. 5 o'clock, you go home and you think, wow, that was amazing. Right? So that's what I think NFTs can do. We see it as a passport into the world of film. And then immersive experiences like the metaverse, fusing gaming into that as well. I think we're day zero in Web3. And I'd say this a lot, that we're still at that early infancy stage. We're all learning about what we can do with this technology. Blockchain, as a number of the speakers during the earlier presentations have said, it's a technology, it's an enabler. What we do with it is our challenge. And that's what we have to do as individuals, as a society, to actually say, well, we need to think about the real life use cases. I'd say the last point I wanted to make is a lot of people are coming up with some great solutions. And I sometimes scratch my head and say, but what's the challenge? What's the problem they're trying to solve? Right? And it's Web 2, the big mistake we made in Web 2, and that's coming from an IT guy, right, is we gave the world solutions. And we forced everyone to start using these solutions. What problems were we trying to solve? Right? So I think we're all equally responsible for the Web 2 mess that's been created as well. And I think we need to collaborate together to kind of make sure we don't repeat these mistakes in Web 3.
Beautiful answers. We have to cut it short because it is getting close to the end. Thank you all for joining me on stage. Thank you very much, Vesa, for joining us. And yes, beautiful. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.